He's making a list and checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice.
This does happen sometimes. Now, I'm afraid to say that you have made my naughty list.
Did you hear that? You made the naughty list. Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to the naughty list. Now, this is where anything from tacky tunes to questionable holiday treats can find itself in a little bit of a Christmas pickle. Look, people, look, folks. Santa Claus is not the only one making lists around here, and we're working on a good one, and we're putting all kinds of holiday no-nos on notice. Now, each Monday until December, we're going to highlight 2 different holiday offenders to place on the Christmas Everyday version of the naughty list. And in December, we're going to release our weekly nice list, where we will obviously highlight 2 or more holiday items or characters, songs, or whatever that fill us with joy. And if you have any naughty or nice list recommendations, you can send those to us at christmaseverydayshow@gmail.com, and we are going to talk about it if, this is a big if I don't steal your ideas to make me look good. Because I would do that, and I would do that to you. Anyway, this is the next to the last naughty list until January 26th of 2026. So we're going to swap over to the nice list on December 1st. So we have today's episode and then next Monday's episode before we make that change. And then the plan going forward is to do a monthly naughty/nice list on the last Monday of every month after New Year's until we bring the naughty list back weekly in September. But then we're still going to do our regular weekly episodes every Friday regardless. And I'm probably going to change up a little bit on the format with that one. We're kicking around a couple of ideas. We're going to see what those look like. But anyway, we do have 2 heavy hitters this week. And they're so big, and, you know, if I'm being honest, they're blatantly obvious. They're so big that it may make next week's naughty list seem a little anticlimactic, or at least it does to me. But for purposes of having good timing, which I strive to attain, it pretty much had to work out this way for this week with these Christmas characters. So, plus next week's naughty list comes courtesy of my 2 daughters. So I'm really looking forward to that. They both chipped in and gave me an idea for that one. For those wondering, redemption does count, but that's part of what the nice list is for. This is the naughty list. So first up this week is a character that should surprise nobody. And he's one of the 2 Christmas characters whose name is applied to different people who very clearly lack Christmas spirit. So the Grinch, and let me specify, this is 1966 Grinch. I don't just love the Jim Carrey Grinch. Never really grew on me all that much. He was funny, but he was a little over the top for me. And I haven't seen the 2018 Grinch. So the Grinch lives atop of Mount Crumpet, way above Whoville, and quite simply, he hates Christmas. And you know what? That's enough really to land anybody on the list. Anyway, but the story tells us that nobody quite knows the reason why he hates Christmas. Dr. Seuss speculates a little bit, saying, maybe his shoes might have been a little too tight, or maybe his head wasn't screwed on just right. But then, Dr. Seuss goes right into telling us everything that the Grinch hates about Christmas. As the Grinch watches the Who's preparing for Christmas below in Whoville, on Christmas Eve, no less, which is entirely too late to start prepping for Christmas. I refuse to believe that I'm the only one who has a problem with this, by the way. The Who's get an honorable mention on the list this week for coming late to the Christmas party. You don't start getting ready for Christmas on Christmas Eve. It's a season, folks. Back to the Grinch. So he hates the noise. He hates all of the children playing and, all of the musical instruments going off with the crazy names that they have and, all the toys and just all the noise that they're making. I can't say that I really blame him for hating the noise, the older I get, but I might just be conflating that with the music being too loud in restaurants whenever we go out to eat. That always happens. We go out to eat and the music's just always so loud. And we've got some quiet talkers in the family. Anyway, I won't discount that theory at all. But back to the Grinch. He hates the fact that they all get together for this big feast. And he even hates everything that they have to eat there. And he very fervently hates the roast beast. So he hates the noise. He hates the big get-together feast. Most of all, he hates that the Who's all go outside after the feast is over with. They've played with their toys for a little bit. They had this big meal. And then they go outside and they start ringing bells and singing songs. And they're welcoming Christmas. Okay, so I kind of have to give him this one because that song, Welcome Christmas, that they sing, I could have done without ever hearing that song. I really could. I can't stand it. But I love Trim Up the Tree. If they could do their feast and just sing Trim Up the Tree, what a fun song. They should just sing that one all the time. Then the Grinch would never be mad. Anyway, he basically hates that everybody in Whoville expresses their happiness and gratitude on Christmas. And this is pretty ridiculous. I mean, oh dude, it's one day. Now, we're not really all that privy into how the Who's act during the rest of the year. But if he can't handle some singing and some feasting and some toys and a little bit of music for a couple of hours on Christmas morning, he just needs to move. Okay, his problem is his location. It's not the Who's. His cave can't be the only cave in the area, and I bet he wouldn't admit it. But one that a cave that isn't up on the top of a mountain would probably be a lot more convenient. It really would, instead of having to trek up and down that thing all the time. Maybe there's, I don't know, just going up and down, it would be a lot for me. Do you ever have that one thing, that, I'm going to give you a scenario here. Do you ever have that one thing that you're missing for that dish that you're supposed to take to the office Christmas party at work, and then your husband has to go to the store and get it? See what I did there? See, the husband is the one that has to go to the store. Anyway. Maybe a cave that's not right on the top of an incredibly tall mountain would be easier to maneuver in that situation, especially in the snow. I don't know. It's always the husband that... Now, I'm getting off track. The Grinch hates these things so much that he devises this plan, okay? He's going to steal Christmas from the Who's. He's going to go into their houses, middle of the night, steal it all the lights, all the toys, all the gifts, all the food. And he even fashions this Santa Claus suit to wear while he's doing it. So, if anybody catches him in the act, they're just going to think that he's there dropping stuff off for him when it's the reverse. He thinks that if he steals all of the things that bother him so much from the Who's, they won't have any reason to celebrate, and maybe that means that he'll get to sleep in on Christmas morning. I don't know, unlike every other day of the year? I don't know. Instead of being woken up early that one day. And then he does it. He goes down to Whoville in the middle of the night. He just takes everything. Hardly left anything for anybody. Now, little Cindy Lou Who, she wakes up and catches him in the act. He's stuffing their tree up the chimney. And she's like, Santa, why? What are you doing here? And he's like, oh, there's something wrong with one of these light bulbs or ornaments or something. And I'm going to take it out of here and we're going to get fixed and I'm going to bring it back. She's like, word. And then, he puts her back in the bed and then she's gone. And then he's gone, I'm sorry. Yeah. Then he took everything from everybody else's houses. Didn't leave anything behind. And then he got his poor little dog, Max. Max is just the cutest little boy in the world. And Max just drags all this big, heavy stuff all the way up that incredibly tall mountain that's unnecessary. And after he does that, he waits. And look, this may be the most diabolical part about the whole thing. He doesn't just go to bed satisfied with his efforts. He doesn't do that. He waits up to see and hear the disappointment. That's the thing for him. It's the reaction. There are going to be some bad reactions. He wants to be awake for it, even after he was up all night doing this stuff. Well, we all know what happens. The Who's wake up and they come out and start singing anyway, and he warms up to it and he realizes why they're celebrating, and he takes the stuff back down and he joins them in their feast, and he redeems himself somewhat. But what a bad dude to go through all of that just because of a few loud hours on Christmas morning. I mean, really, what an awful dude. And redemption will not always keep you off the naughty list. I'm telling you that now because, how could one of the top 2 Christmas villains be spared? I don't know. The Grinch was a bad dude. It ended well. It did not start off very well at all. So the Grinch, first up. Now, next up is the other name that's immediately associated with having dangerously low levels of Christmas spirit, which coincidentally leads to a few visits from several Christmas spirits. You know who I'm talking about. You can't have a naughty list without Ebenezer Scrooge, can you? I don't think you can. I mean, anyone who says, quote, "If I could work my will," every idiot who goes about with "Merry Christmas" on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should! Anybody who says that has to be on the list. Now, this squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner wouldn't let Bob Cratchit put another lump of coal on his measly fire so he could get a little bit warmer. He says that if Bob uses any more coal on his fire, that he will spend Christmas by, quote, losing his situation. Scrooge tells the portly social workers that the poor people they're trying to help can go jump into the nearest prison or workhouse. He says he'll see his nephew Fred in hell before he sets foot at Christmas dinner at Fred's house. Really? He complains about having to give Bob the whole day off on Christmas. Terrible boss. He says, "Bah humbug," after being greeted a Merry Christmas by Fred. He threatens Bob's job again after Bob applauds Fred's speech on Christmas in Scrooge's office. And he mocks Fred for getting married. He claims that if the poor would rather die than go to a prison or workhouse, that they had better do it then and decrease the surplus population. And he terrorizes a little kid outside of his office for having the temerity to sing a Christmas carol in Scrooge's proximity. And this is all like 10 minutes into the story. This dude is awful. Now, does anything else really need to be said about Scrooge? He's mean, he's stingy, he hates Christmas. Oh, didn't the Grinch hate Christmas? That's why they're both on the list. He doesn't pay his clerk enough money to live on. He warns all humans to keep their distance. He can't be warmed by any warmth or chilled by any wintry weather because he iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. No, I think this pretty much sums it all up. Now, Scrooge and the Grinch are probably 2 very, very overly obvious choices for the naughty list, but no naughty list would be complete without both of them. So I think that's going to do it for this week. Now, please check in with us next Monday for our last episode of the Naughty List this year, and make sure to catch our regular Christmas Everyday episode every Friday. So until next Monday, try to stay off of the naughty list, and Merry Christmas.